Hey everybody, this is Erin Lincoln. I'm here to show you my new stitching dies for June 2016. I can't believe it's June already. We have a stitched car and a stitched truck. Great for little plush toys for little boys who love cars. I happen to have one of those. And you can take them even further and put them in embroidery hoops or maybe a mobile over a crib or even Christmas ornaments. Super cute. We're going to go ahead and get started. I've already made my cuts. I've cut 2 of the car bodies. This is what the die looks like. And this would be the same for the truck. These are basically the same construction and design. You need the same elements. So what I'm saying here for the car works for the truck as well. All right, moving on, we need to do the bumpers. You have 2 dies for the bumpers. And on my finished truck, I can show you where those go. The long one goes in the middle and it wraps around the bottom edge. You can see it does not attach the little axle area, I guess we're going to call it. So you only need one of those. And then the bumpers is this itty bitty die. You need one for both ends, so you need 2 of those. Okay, next up, what do we have? We have the windows. We're going to need 2 sets of the windows because we're making a back and the front of our car. They're going to look finished on both sides. And the same goes for the truck. Now the truck only has 1 window and it's a different shape. So you don't have to worry about the 2 windows on the truck. Now as for the wheels, they are double-sided and they are filled with polyfill. So you get 1 wheel die and you need to cut 8 wheels out, which I have done. Now the wheels are the same for the truck and the car, so if you get both, you have 2 dies to run through and you only have to run through 4 times instead of 8, which works out well. And this is a little hubcap. The hubcap only goes on the outside, so we only need 4 of these, and I have them cut out of smoky shadow felt. Okay, a couple more cuts. You can see here on the truck, there's a headlight and a tail light. There's 2 different shapes for that on the truck. The tail light's more squared off, whereas the headlight's more round. On the car, it's the same die. It's just like a slightly squished circle, more of an oval. And I cut it out of 2 different colors felt. And just to show you how it gets sewn in, it goes between the layers. So you just need 1 for each side. Okay, and last but not least, we have this itty bitty little die for the handles. On the truck, you only need to cut 2. On the car, you're going to need 4 for the back and the front doors. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I have stitched all the details in off camera, and I just want you to note that they have to be mirror images of each other. Your cars are going in opposite directions because when you put them together, you want them on both sides. And luckily when working with felt, you don't get any scratch up from your cutting plates transfer, so we can use both sides of a felt cut, which you can't do in paper. I've already put all my details in, including the hubcaps, the doors, the windows, and the door handles. Now this is where we sew our cars together, back sides facing each other. As I usually do, I go in between the layers of felt, do a running stitch, up hole A, down hole B, up through C, going through both layers of felt at this point to sew them together. Now 3 holes down from the curve of the hood, you are going to place your little light, and it goes right in between, and the holes line up exactly. And it's nice because just a little sliver of that headlight hangs out, just like a real headlight, which is my easy, simple solution to adding some color here. It's more like a tag or a flag in how it's sewn in. And you just take your time to catch all 3 of those holes, and you're good to go. And then we're going to fast forward till we have to put in the tail light, excuse me, which I've cut out of pure poppy felt. Okay, movie magic, fast forward, and I'm going to show you just to remember to slow down right about here for that tail light. And again, you just stitch it in right after the curve of the hood. You'll see a curve. There will be a hole that's a little bit on the curve, but the next hole down, that's just a good landmark to where you want to stitch this in. And if it's off by a hole or two, who cares? It's still going to look really cute. It's nothing mission critical, as my husband would say right here at this juncture. It's just a little decorative piece. Again, you catch all 3 holes in that light and you just keep sewing on. So we're going to go ahead and do. Okay, I have reached a point where I have maybe 1.5 inches left unsewn, and I'm going to reverse my running stitch and go back. And I'm leaving that open hole because that's where I'm going to put my polyfill, and I think it's just nice to have everything finished off and a smaller hole so you don't struggle with all your polyfill coming out of this giant gap. So that's why I leave this amount of room, this amount of hole for stuffing this little car or the truck or even the softie. You guys, same type of deal that I did with the softies. I have a iced teaspoon. I don't use iced teaspoons for anything other than this. It was something I inherited and it is perfect. You might want to use a wooden spoon or anything else in this long narrow shape to help you get your polyfill in your shape and fill in all the little nooks and crannies. And once you get it to the desired puffiness, and if you notice my needle is still on my thread, I never cut my thread, you just sew closed that hole. And because it's so small, as I mentioned before, you're not dealing with all this polyfill like spilling out of it. That's kind of a pain. Okay, so you do the basic running stitch again, and you go until the end of your stitches previously, and then reverse and tie off. And this, if you notice, was just one thread all the way around, even leaving that gap and closing it off. You stick your needle through the layers of felt, you tie it off, the knot is hidden between the layers. And now we're going to move on to the bumpers. Okay, again, you've cut 1 long bumper and 2 narrow bumpers. The little tiny bumpers are only 2 holes long with a little bit of an overflow. They go right off the edge, and that extended bit of felt extends the bumper past the edge of the car. So you go in, I go in through the back of the car without bothering with the bumper yet, up through the bumper, and then I start reversing, and when I need to, I catch the hole of the bumper, and the bumper is going to fold over the bottom of the car and the truck. Kind of like, a good example is stitch trays when you put the trim in. Same type of deal. But here on the edge, I recommend, and I'll show you in a second, my truck where I didn't like how I finished it off. I would add a little blanket stitch around the edge here to close the bumper, the front of the bumper off. It's really easy to do, no big deal. And I'll show you here the difference, how much this looks better than what I did on the truck. I didn't do this for the truck. And I simply don't like how it turned out, so I'm doing something a little different here on the car. You see how open that bumper was on the truck? This closes it off and it doesn't gap open. So it's 2 stitches along the bottom and then blanket stitch the edge. Now we're putting in what I guess is a running board, and it's the same type of deal. This smoky shadow felt wraps around the bottom, leaving those axles accessible for stitching in your wheels. Now I have stitched up 3 of the 4 wheels, and I'm going to show you on camera the 4th. You just stack them and you use the running stitch back and forth, leaving 1/4 of the wheel open, so like 1/4 of a pizza pie. You see the opening up there, and that's where I'm stuffing my polyfill. Again, smaller hole, less fighting the stuffing, popping back out, and then you just close it up. Stuff in that wheel, make it nice and puffy. The puffier you can get it without overflowing it, the better it's going to stand up, I think. Okay, and then you just pick up your needle and thread and you close it off. Okay, I am going to stitch in one of these wheels for you. Remember, we need those little hubcap pieces. have those. So pick up a wheel and pick up a hubcap. You're going to stitch up through the back of the wheel, and you're going to do a cross stitch on the hubcap. So they're attached now, and I'm going to go down a hole, and when I get to the back, I'm going to stitch it through the corresponding hole on that little axle piece. So I'm going to pick up my car, just do one layer, and stitch it through. And now I'm going to finish the cross stitch, going through the axle, the wheel, which is 2 layers plus polyfill, and the hubcap. Makes a cross stitch. You know, buttons would be really cute here too. I just have to stick with just the dies for the demonstration, and I haven't done the buttons yet, but I am looking forward to that. I think that would look adorable. Okay, my last stitch is just through the axle, and it's going to meet up with the thread that went into the wheel originally, and I can tie it off, hiding the knot. And then you're just going to want to do that for the remaining 3 wheels. Now, if this gets any active play whatsoever versus, you know, going on a hoopla thing or an ornament or a mobile, you don't need to do this step right here, but I kind of find that adding just a little hot glue above the wheel helps these stand up on their own and will put up with a little bit more active play from a little boy who stole my tropical teal car and hid it, and I had to make another one. He liked it so much. Okay, there you have it. Another month, another stitching project. These cute felt cars are a huge hit with my little boy, and I hope your little boys that are in your life will like them just as much. Okay, happy stitching, and I'll see you again in a month or so. Bye-bye.